Hey, happy Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I got to attend what's known as the PATE swap meet for gearheads, for guys who love cars, who love car parts and picking and what have you. It is the largest swap meet in the Midwest. I mean, it is absolutely humongous. You just about can't walk it in one day. It's a 4-day event, and I was able to go down, set up a booth, tried to sell some stuff. Didn't sell very much, I can tell you that. I mean, it didn't cover expenses, as a matter of fact. And to make things worse, someone walked off with what, if you're not a gearhead, you won't appreciate this, but they walked off with a Demon 1250 Street Master, Street King carburetor. Just took it, disappeared. Really put a damper on my experience there. But nonetheless, I did have a good time, and weather was beautiful. It was a really good weekend with that little caveat. All right, well, we are continuing our study of 1 Corinthians chapter 15. I've been sharing with you the direct correspondence between 1 Corinthians 15 and Romans chapter 8. In Romans chapter 8, Paul ties what he calls the suffering of this present time, which he calls the birth pains. We know that the whole creation labors in birth pains until now. And that motif of birth pains is a very, very important Bible doctrine. I've been sharing with you the fact that in the Jewish narrative, the Jewish eschatological storyline, they believed that in the last days, you would have the appearing of Elijah. He would come and he would make declarations and judgments in regard to the law. He would make judgments in regard to marriage. You need to get a copy of my book, Elijah Has Come, a solution to Romans 11, 25 to 27, for a discussion of that. Anyway, you would have the appearance of Elijah. Then you would have the Great Tribulation and the Great Apostasy. Sometimes they flip-flop those. But nonetheless, in that last generation, and by the way, pardon me, there is never ever the idea that you find in some scholars that the Great Tribulation began in the first century and it's still ongoing. Kim Riddlebarger, Greg Beale. No, that idea is not found in the Bible. It's not found in the Jewish narrative. But that Great Tribulation, the Great Apostasy, leads directly to the coming of the Lord, the judgment, and the resurrection. Now, what I've been sharing with you over the last several videos are some key Old Testament messianic prophecies that there would in fact be the time of trouble, a time of tribulation, followed immediately by the resurrection. That's why Paul's reference to the birth pains leading to the redemption of the body is so critical to understand. Do you remember Jeremiah chapter 30, the time of Jacob's trouble, leading directly to the kingdom and the rule and reign of the Messianic king and the new covenant? Jeremiah chapter 31. Isaiah chapter 25. Isaiah chapter 26. Hosea chapter 13, verse 13 and 14. And look, I've just got to emphasize this. I've got to take the time to do this. Remember that in Isaiah chapter 25, you have the prediction of the destruction of the city and the temple, followed immediately by the prediction of the resurrection. In Hosea chapter 13, verse 13 and 14, you have the birth pangs. Israel would be in birth pangs and then delivered through resurrection. Again, Isaiah chapter 26, Israel would be in birth pains, followed immediately by the resurrection. Folks, the connection is there. It is immediate. It's not extrapolated out. There is no gap between the birth pains, i.e. the tribulation, and the kingdom or the resurrection. There is just simply no distinction or temporal division. Okay, I want to share with you another passage, a very famous passage, that makes that connection, absolutely inseparably. In Daniel chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. And at that time, Michael shall stand up, the great prince, who stands watch over the sons of your people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, everyone who is found written in the book. Now, keep in mind Jeremiah chapter 30, foretold a time of tribulation, Jacob's trouble, such as had never been since there had been a nation, or ever would be. Here is the exact same language. Now, in tomorrow's video, I will share with you an argument that is now being made to avoid the force of this text. And I'll show you what's wrong with that argument. But in the meantime, here we have emphatically, specifically, explicitly, the prediction of the Great Tribulation. Verse 2. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall arise or awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. So what do we have? We have great tribulation, resurrection. In Jeremiah chapter 30, great tribulation, kingdom, new covenant. Isaiah 25, tribulation, resurrection. Isaiah 26, birth pains, tribulation, resurrection. Hosea 13, birth pangs of the Messiah, resurrection. Daniel chapter 12, tribulation, resurrection. Folks, unless you can divorce Daniel chapter 12 from all of these other passages that have the birth pangs of Messiah, i.e. the tribulation, unless you can divorce this text from all of those others. Now, look, it's possible. You know, we can't be guilty of illegitimate totality transfer, but here's the exact precise motif of the tribulation, of the birth pangs, followed immediately by what? The resurrection. So I say again, unless you can divorce Daniel 12 with its motifs that are identical to these other passages. Since those other passages are clearly, unmistakably messianic, i.e., guess what? Isaiah 25, Hosea 13, applied by Paul to the end-time resurrection. So unless you can divorce the resurrection and the tribulation of Isaiah 25 and Hosea chapter 13 from Daniel chapter 12, then guess what? That means that the tribulation and the resurrection of Daniel chapter 12 is at the same time as Isaiah 25 and Hosea chapter 13, both of which are explicitly posited at the time of the destruction of Old Covenant Israel. Oh, and Daniel chapter 12 is likewise posited at the time of the destruction of Israel. We'll see that as we continue. If you want what is without doubt one of the fullest expositions of Daniel chapter 12. Get a copy of my book, The Resurrection of Daniel chapter 12, verse 2, Fulfilled or Future. Go to my website, donkpreston.com or BibleProphecy.com, and order the book. Be sure to mention, in a note that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll pay your shipping. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. You do not want to miss tomorrow's video, in which I'll share with you the attempts that are being made to make Daniel chapter 12 and verses 1 and 2 refer to two different events separated so far in time by 2,500 years. Would you ever get that by reading the text? Nope. Okay, we'll see you on the flip side.